Let's try again with the sound on. Hello and good welcome to my Hello and good welcome to my live lesson this morning on solving equations and talking a bit more about what is going on and why when we solve equations. I've got a couple of videos on the channel about solving equations, 2-step equations, 3-step equations. We're going to do some of those within today's lesson. However, what we're also going to be talking about is the hows and whys of what's going on, because I noticed when people do this, a lot of them are sort of like, oh, why do we do this? Or we're just doing it kind of mindlessly, and they're not fully understanding. We can actually do whatever we want to an equation as long as we keep it balanced. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at balancing some equations. We've got a worksheet in the link below, so where you can go and practice this from some straightforward ones to some harder ones, and I'm going to go through how we would do that. If anyone's struggling with it, feel free to ask comments in the chat. If you're watching this live, then please do get involved in the chat. If not, and you're coming back to just get some help, brilliant. Hopefully this will be useful for you, and you can like, share, subscribe, all those things if it is useful. Okay, let's go straight into the intro. So, going straight over to my whiteboard here, we're going to talk first of all about what an equation is. Because before we can understand solving equations, we really got to understand what's going on. All we're saying, if we come across 7x equals 24, all we're saying here is that 7 times something that we don't know is equal to 24. Therefore, if you're dividing, then we're going to just, if we're trying to work out what it is, we work it backwards. We want to undo this element here. So we're undoing times 7, and instead we're going to be having 7 times something, so we're going to undo the times 7. And to do so, we use the opposite operations by dividing by 7 on both sides. Because what we're trying to do here is we're trying to realise that the whole thing must stay balanced, like people on a balance beam. If we've got 2 people standing on a balance beam, they have to stay balanced, but we could give them both a bag. As long as that bag is the same weight, they'll be fine. So we can do the same thing to both sides and it will stay fine. So here we're dividing both sides by 7, but 24 doesn't divide by 7, and we've got to lose any ideas that it has to be whole numbers. We just write 24 over 7, because a fraction means divide, especially in algebra, and we've got to get comfortable with that. So therefore we write it, and if it simplifies, it does. So this one I think goes to 3 3/7. Okay. I'm just moving down so I can see if there's any questions in the live chat, because if at any point anyone absolutely 24 is not in the 7 times table, so therefore we write it as a fraction, and that we'll do some more like that. Now we can also get things like this: q over 6 equals 7. If that's the case, q over 6 is 7, then we therefore have to do the opposites again each time. But the opposite of divide is to times. That's how we're going to get rid of that 6. But we're going to do it to both sides, because we always think about both people on our balance scale. There's the equals, you see, in the middle. So therefore I've got to do it to both sides. So q is equal to 7 times 6 is 42. We must always think of both sides of this balance. If you treat one differently from the other, they have tantrums, you get letters shouting at numbers, they argue. It's not a pretty sight, so we try and make sure they don't do it. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at what about when there's a couple of steps. Same principle, why and the why and wherefore of what we're doing, and for some reason it's not liking me changing the pen type. Let's see why it only likes red now. So we're going to be in red, I think, for the whole journey now. Oh, maybe we sorted it. So we've got what happens when we've got 6x plus 1 equals, and I will choose one that works now, 25. 2 steps. This is where BibMaths works, but because we're undoing, we're going to work it through backwards. So we're going to do SAMDIB, which means we get rid of the plus first. We want to basically look after the x and get him on his own. To do so, he's got a 6 with him. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of minus 1, because the opposite, it's not do the plus 1, it's do the opposite of plus 1. Here have to have all the steps, and you'll see, Eddie, that what we've got with these steps going on is we must write down all the steps as we go along. So I don't want to just have a final answer here. I want to have a step-by-step approach. So 6x is equal to 24. Then I will allow people to write, well, I want the x on its own. So we're going to do divide by 6. This is a completed solving of an equation. Now, you might think, well, that's complicated. I can do it in my head. Well done. But it's harder, A, when it's not a whole number, as Eddie saw with the first question. But also, once we start getting more and more complicated, my year 9s have been doing this, when they've been doing more complicated questions, they find that it's harder if we haven't got the foundation steps going in there. What about, though, sir, when we've got x's on both sides? Not to worry. 7x plus 4 equals 3x plus 12. So we've got x's and things going on both sides. What I'm going to first of all is prioritise the bigger one of the two. Then take away the smaller one from both sides. So in this case, I'm going to do minus 3x from both sides. But that doesn't affect the 4s, so that plus 4 stays. The numbers, wait, not getting involved. Not getting involved in x's at all. It's not my business. None of my business. I'm not going to get involved. I'm staying out of that. So the next thing we do is going to write 4x plus 4 equals, and that's gone now, so it's just 12. So we can actually get rid of the plus. Now we want to get rid of this plus. Now we're focusing on the 4x, so we're going to get rid of the plus 4. Minus 4 minus 4. So we've got 4x equals 8. And finally, divide by 4, x equals 2. And we finally got a situation here where we can find a final answer. But it's not x equals 2 as the final answer. The answer, what I would expect to be seeing, is this whole journey. Because what we're aiming to do is be able to do A-level maths and degree level maths and eventually move ourselves upwards and be able to do harder and harder things. So we need the whole process of breaking it down step by step by step. Now, what this does mean for you, this is as complicated as these get, but just to show you how it could go, you can even get questions where you've got things, and I was showing some of my year 9s how these work. You can have questions where you've got things like the 2x is on the bottom, 3x plus 4 equals 5, and we've got to deal with a fraction as well. Well, it's nothing to worry about. We just times by the fraction because we want to get it on the other side. And how this works is we keep it balanced. 3x plus 4. This moves effectively to this side, giving us 3x plus 4. He's disappeared. Equals 5 lots of 2x. Meaning we can do 5 lots of 2x. We'll tidy that up. 3x plus 4 is a tidying step. Is 10x. 5 lots of 2x. Now we can do our rearranging. We've got x on both sides, so I'm going to look after the bigger one. He's the bully. So we're going to take away 3x from both sides, leaving us with 4 equals 7x. But they're not nice numbers. So therefore, when we divide by 7, because we want to strip it away and get it okay, strip away the 7. That's going to be x, and that's going to be 4/7. If it's not a nice number, we leave it as a fraction. So that's how we do it when it doesn't make a nice number. But you can see, these are the complicated ones I was doing with my year 9s, where we had fractions involved. But having this method and this solid step-by-step approach works. Now, what I recommend, it's only a short video today, but what I recommend you do is check you understand these questions, then try the questions in the description below the video. That worksheet has a range of questions of different difficulties. Work through them. You've got some easier ones, you've got some harder ones. Feel free to rewind the video and do a print screen. Copy that into your book, pause it, copy it into your book or into a sheet of paper so you can see what's Mr. Harris doing on each step of the way. How did Mr. Harris do it? Always ask yourself, how did Mr. Harris do it? Now remember, the one thing I see some people getting confused with, what do I do if I've got something like this? 10 minus 2x equals 6. Now the first thing is I don't like minus 2x, but it's okay. I've got two options. I can either still treat it the same and go take away 10, and minus 2x equals minus 4. Then I do a little magic jump. If that's a minus and that's a minus, we can turn everything into a plus. Basically, we're timesing by minus 1. It's a way of flipping everything. That's allowed. The other way I could do it is 10 minus 2x. How's this for a little trick? Why not take my 2x and add it to this side? 10 equals 6 plus 2x. You can do opposite of minus is to plus. So we can always move the 2x to the other side. Good morning, Katie. Lovely to see you. 10 equals 6 plus 2x. We need to get rid of the 6. Minus 6 from both sides is 4 equals 2x. And then finally we divide by 2 because it's 2x. So we've got x equals 2. And we've managed to solve it again. This one would be divide by 2, divide by 2, x equals 2. You see the answer is the same, two different techniques. One keeps it as a minus, then flips everything, and the other moves it to the other side by adding. Both of those are valid ways of doing these questions. So hopefully that's been useful. It's only a short 10-15 minute video today, but it's designed to give you some meaningful help with those dodgy solving of equations so you can go away and be a solving equations king. Thank you very much for Eddie and Katie joining in the chat. It's been really helpful. If this has been useful, remember to drop it a like, share, subscribe, all those things. Let other people know that it's been useful. I've been Mr. Harris. You haven't. We'll just zoom into me so I can say thank you very much for joining me. And I do hope that you find these lessons and the others on the channel useful. And I will look forward to seeing you in a future lesson. Take care. Goodbye.